Few defensive linemen are as high on so many draft boards as Alabama's Christian Barmore. National accolades are nothing new for Barmore. He was rated the 5th best defensive tackle nationwide coming out of high school. Drawing interest from several Power 5 schools, the Philadelphia native joined the Crimson Tide.
Corral, swung down by Christian Barmore.
His first year on the field was productive, playing in 12 games with 1 start. He notched 26 tackles, including 6 tackles for loss and 2 sacks. He played another full season as a sophomore and continued to develop. He had 9.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, and a team-high 3 forced fumbles.
2 wides right, 1 to the left. Quarterback flushed, lost the ball, and he'll fall back on top of it.
Barmore was named to the All-SEC freshman team. In 2020, CBS Sports selected him as a first-team All-American. He was first-team All-SEC and the defensive MVP of the 2021 National Championship game versus Ohio State. Barmore is an athletic 3-technique defensive tackle. He's explosive off the ball, displays good footwork, and quick reaction time.
Teague spun down. Bear hug by Christian Barmore.
They try him on the run, and he's taken down by Christian Barmore.
With good lateral movement, he's equally adept at playing the pass and the run. Scouts point to a lack of pursuit speed, and he'll need to develop skills to handle larger opponents at the next level. Christian Barmore could be the first defensive tackle taken.
Barmore's having a big night.
And go as high as the first round in this year's draft.
Right on cue, that man again. Christian Barmore with the tackle for loss. What a play. Big time play, 310 pounds, moving like that.
Defensive tackle Jalen Twyman from the University of Pittsburgh is gaining a lot of interest in the run-up to this year's draft.
The zone of pressure, he'll be dropped. That's the first sack of the game for Pitt.
The Washington, D.C. native became known for his pass rushing skills in high school, where he won 3 city championships. Several Power 5 schools came calling, but Twyman chose Pitt, reportedly in part because his favorite player Aaron Donald went there.
Gabriel, 3rd down. The walls collapse again. And down he goes. It is Jalen Twyman, the outstanding sophomore.
Twyman did well as a redshirt freshman in 2018, notching 16 tackles in 13 games. He had 4 tackles and a sack versus Clemson in the ACC championship that year. 2019 proved to be a breakout year for Twyman, racking up 41 tackles, including 12 tackles for loss and 10.5 sacks. He chose to opt out of the 2020 season and declare for the NFL Draft. Twyman earned first-team All-ACC honors in 2019 and was named second-team All-America by multiple outlets. He was also the first defensive tackle to lead Pitt in sacks since Aaron Donald in 2013. With good overall speed and strength, Twyman is explosive at the point of attack. He's good with his hands and does well with push-pull and swim moves.
He runs into Jalen Twyman and a few of his good buddies.
Scouts point to his inexperience and his lack of an effective bull rush. Perhaps most glaring, he never forced a fumble in his 2 seasons with Pitt.
Twyman just crashing through that offensive line and making stops, shaking his fingers saying no.
With a coveted ability to get to the quarterback, Jalen Twyman is projected as a second-round pick in this year's draft. Like his name suggests, Missouri linebacker Nick Bolton strikes suddenly and flashes like lightning when he's around the ball.
It's Harris, and he's chopped down behind the line of scrimmage.
A leader and strong communicator, the Tigers relied on Bolton to direct their defense and call out pre-snap adjustments. Known for his quick and accurate first step, he tends to know where the ball is going as soon as it leaves the center's grasp.
Bolton, the tackling machine.
Bolton's impressive ability to sniff out the ball is aided by his knack for following quarterbacks' eyes.
Brennan, play fake, they get it knocked down. They were trying to get it to Marshall, and Nick Bolton was right there reading the play to knock it down.
Against the run, Bolton fills gaps before they're formed and goes around blockers to stuff the ball carrier.
Dowdle, the blockers ahead, but a great open field tackle.
There he is.
There he is again, Nick Bolton.
No part of the field is off limits from Bolton's patrol. He plays comfortably in space and excels in coverage. His breakout performance came in 2019 when Missouri faced West Virginia. Bolton reeled in 2 interceptions, returning 1 for a touchdown. In 2019, Bolton's first season as a starter, he earned first-team All-SEC honors. The following season, he repeated as first-team All-SEC and achieved national recognition as a second-team All-American. Bolton led the SEC in tackles per game as a sophomore and only improved in his final junior year. An NFL team in need of a strong Mike linebacker will prosper with the addition of Nick Bolton, who is projected as a late first, early second-round pick. Cannonballs fired at close range take longer to reach their target than LSU linebacker Jabril Cox. Cox spent 3 seasons at North Dakota State, winning 3 straight FCS national championships before graduating and transferring to LSU in 2020.
Yeah, Jabril Cox, who's really distinguished himself early.
The 2017 Missouri Valley Football Conference Freshman of the Year, Cox followed that up the next season, earning MVFC Defensive Player of the Year honors. Cox was a 2-time FCS All-American and first-team All-MVFC selection. His freshman season, he was voted second-team All-MVFC. In his LSU debut, he recorded a sack and returned an interception for a touchdown against Mississippi State.
3 for 7 on third downs today. Costello steps back into the end zone. This time going to be picked off at the 14-yard line.
Well, threw it right into the hands of Jabril Cox, the transfer linebacker from North Dakota State.
With uncanny coverage skills for a linebacker, Cox covers almost every blade of grass and provides sideline-to-sideline security.
2nd and 7, picked off. Stepping in front of it is Jabril Cox, and he's done this before. He gets right near the goal line.
Cox doesn't shy away from one-on-one matchups in space. A versatile defender, he stacks up well in man and zone coverage against tight ends, slot receivers, and running backs. He's proven to be highly productive at all levels, doing whatever is asked of him. Primarily a quarterback in high school, he also played wide receiver, linebacker, safety, and corner. Cox has shown he's adaptable and can be used flexibly in the NFL.
All right, Roundtree is in the backfield, and they give it to Larry Roundtree without a lot of room to run. He is pushing forward, though, some tough running. Out to about the 5. LSU says the ball came out. It did. That's a fumble. LSU has it.
Last season, Jabril Cox proved he belongs with the premier players in his class and should fit in just as well as a pro. If he's passed in the first round, Cox will be a day. Notre Dame linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah plays like he's in fast forward and makes his opponents look like they're in slow motion. At the end of last season, Owusu-Koramoah received the Butkus Award, an honor reserved for the country's top linebacker.
He lost one up for grabs, and he's intercepted by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Well, he's working on DJ Turner in the slot. You'd think maybe that's a matchup that favors you, wide receiver against a rover, but this is a special player.
He was also a finalist for the Nagurski and Bednarik Awards, each given to the Defensive Player of the Year in college football. There's no limit to his range. The roving linebacker keeps offenses on a short leash with explosiveness from snap to whistle. Few in his class deal a more devastating blow than Owusu-Koramoah.
That's a pretty darn good hit.
After missing most of his sophomore season with a foot injury, he tied for the team lead in tackles with 80 as a junior. He couldn't have impressed much more his senior season.
Great defense. Landers is swarmed under by the Notre Dame defense.
In addition to his Butkus Award, Owusu-Koramoah was a unanimous All-American, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and first-team All-ACC in 2020. Due to his season-ending foot injury, he was forced out of Notre Dame's college football playoff game against Clemson in 2018. But Owusu-Koramoah made sure he would get another chance, helping the Irish return to the playoff in his final season. You'll have to search hard to find a mock draft that doesn't have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah as one of the top linebackers up for grabs. Expect to see him taken on day one. In just 2 seasons of play, Penn State linebacker Micah Parsons proved he's worthy of being considered one of the top defensive prospects in his draft class.
2nd and 10. White swarmed by Mr. Everywhere, Micah Parsons.
Parsons opted out of the COVID-impacted 2020 season to focus on training for the draft, but the missed season didn't dampen his draft stock. A former 5-star running back in high school, he's one of the fastest players on the field and chases down opponents with ease. In his first season at Penn State, Parsons started just 1 game, but led the team in tackles. He was the first true freshman in school history to achieve that feat.
Micah Parsons, number 11, in on that play. One of the top recruits in the country, true freshman from Harrisburg.
His sophomore season showed pro scouts everything they wanted to see. Parsons totaled 109 tackles, 5 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles. After his standout second season, Parsons became the first sophomore to receive the Butkus Fitzgerald Linebacker of the Year award. He was also a consensus All-American and first-team All-Big Ten in 2019. His final act in college was perhaps his best performance. Parsons earned Defensive MVP in the 2019 Goodyear Cotton Bowl with 14 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 near picks.
Incomplete. Micah Parsons. Parsons has the fumble. Penn State couldn't grab it.
Though some wish they could have seen more of Parsons in college, he left little to the imagination.
Micah Parsons said, "I'll see you when I see you."
Micah Parsons has the potential to be the first defender off the board in the upcoming draft. Georgia linebacker Monty Rice bursts to the ball so quickly, blockers don't see him until he's in their rearview mirror.
Here they come. Garantano, look out from behind. Down he goes. The ball is out. Monty Rice giving chase. Rice has got it. He's going to score. Touchdown, Georgia.
A difference maker for Georgia since 2017 and a staple of the defense the past 3 seasons, Rice embraced the role of alpha dog early. Despite missing 5 games due to injury in 2018, he was 3rd on the team in tackles.
Hand it off. Dawson Downing not going to be this time either. Monty Rice for a loss.
After leading the team with 89 tackles in 2019, Rice was high on many scouts' wish lists. But he chose to return for his senior season and dazzled even further.
Bixby's got a long way to go to back to the line of scrimmage, and he just does make it. Picks up a yard before Monty Rice tracked him down.
Georgia's co-defensive MVP and a second-team All-SEC selection in 2019, Rice ended his college career as a finalist for the Butkus Award and earned AP first-team All-SEC honors in 2020. Rice is a sure hitter who can lasso ball carriers with his hands tied behind his back.
Nix has got it. Tried to cut back. There was nothing on the edge, and there's only about 2 yards in the middle.
Though his size makes it difficult for him to run through blocks, his speed allows him to avoid blockers and hit his destination unimpeded. Monty Rice showed all there is to know about his game in his 4 seasons at Georgia. He's rated by many as a top 100 prospect and projects to be a 3rd or 4th round pick. North Carolina linebacker Chazz Suratt knows what's going on inside quarterbacks' heads better than most defenders. He is, after all, a former college quarterback himself. Suratt was the Tar Heels' leading passer in 2017. In 2018, he was suspended for 4 games for selling team-issued shoes and suffered a season-ending wrist injury his first game back. After his wrist healed, he decided his best way to make an impact was on the other side of the ball. Suratt did not take it easy on his former colleagues after switching to quarterbacking the Tar Heels' defense in 2019.
Chazz Suratt had him around the ankles.
And one of the best players in the country just came in hard on Jurkovec, Chazz Suratt. Total disruption.
In his first year starting on defense, Suratt immediately became a one-man demolition crew, leading the team and ranking 2nd in the ACC with 115 tackles. In 2019 against Virginia Tech, Suratt tallied a career-high 17 tackles, 3 more than the Hokies' total completions on the day.
Patterson can't get away. Chazz Suratt, textbook tackle.
Suratt was selected first-team All-ACC and runner-up for Conference Defensive Player of the Year in 2019. In 2020, he was North Carolina's defensive MVP and a Butkus Award and Lott Trophy semifinalist. Football runs in the family. His younger brother Sage, a wide receiver at Wake Forest, is also in the 2021 draft class. Though raw at his position, Suratt's size, mobility, and physicality all stand out. But his knowledge of the inner workings of offenses is what sets him apart. Chazz Suratt could be one of the first linebackers drafted this year. He projects as a first-round talent who will likely be a Day 2 value pick. A 3-year starter for one of the nation's top teams, Ohio State linebacker Pete Werner has plenty of experience against current and future NFL stars.
Rodgers in motion again. Lawrence fakes the pitch and is hit as he throws over the middle. That was Werner on the blitz.
Werner could open a side business as a fortune teller with his record of accurately predicting plays.
Pete Werner delivered the hit.
Though he makes it look supernatural, his instantaneous jump to the ball is a result of tireless film study.
Pete Werner came around the edge and stopped him.
Werner scoots back into coverage so fluidly, it looks like a current is sweeping him to the ball.
And the big hit by Werner, and that time the linebacker delivered a shot.
Never one to settle for just a collision, Werner wraps up ball carriers and takes them for rough rides. Werner finished his college career as a Butkus Award semifinalist and a first-team All-Big Ten selection. He also helped Ohio State reach the college football playoff the past 2 seasons. On a continuous upward trajectory, he was 4th on the team in tackles in 2018, 2nd in 2019, and last season, no Buckeye had more tackles than Werner.
Stop him at the line of scrimmage.
Pete Werner has the makings of an NFL starter. At a loaded position, he figures to be a steal in the middle rounds. One of the more intriguing defensive players in the 2021 NFL Draft is Georgia cornerback Tyson Campbell, number 3. The 6'2", 186-pound Campbell has ideal size to be an outside corner in the NFL. Tough at the point of attack, Campbell has shown excellent tackling technique with nearly 100 career stops.
We're able to get Williams going in the last drive. They try to get it to him here, and there's a nice catch, stretches out.
The former Bulldog has good athletic ability in space and has long arms to help in the pass game. During his 3 years in Athens, he had 11 passes defended.
Shot on 2nd and 1. Williams is up, and that is broken up again by Campbell, who again won that one-on-one battle.
Despite elite athleticism, Campbell has struggled when covering the deep pass. Overall, Campbell has shown more positives than negatives, making him a candidate to make an NFL roster. Campbell played in 33 games and scored 2 touchdowns on fumble recoveries. He leaves Georgia after his junior year. The very talented and tough-minded Tyson Campbell should hear his name called in the first few rounds of the draft. Another in a long line of Georgia cornerbacks to come out in the NFL draft is DJ Daniel, number 14. After spending 2 years at Georgia Military College, the 6'1", 185-pound Daniel has played the past 2 seasons at Georgia. Daniel plays with good feet and coverage and is a solid tackler. Throughout his college career, Daniel had plenty of experience playing man-to-man coverage and played with a competitive spirit on every play. In 2019, he showed good technique playing man-to-man against LSU's Jamarr Chase, a potential top 10 pick in the 2021 draft. In the 2021 Senior Bowl, Daniel once again showed his good athletic ability in covering the best receivers in the country. Daniel played 17 career games at Georgia. In 2019, he had 42 tackles, 8 passes defended, and was named the co-winner of the Bulldogs Newcomer of the Year award. Georgia's DJ Daniel should hear his name called in the first few rounds of the draft. One of the more elite defenders in the 2021 NFL Draft is Virginia Tech cornerback Caleb Farley, number 3. The 6'2", 207-pound Farley has ideal size and speed to be an immediate starter in the NFL. After redshirting his freshman year in 2017 due to injury, Farley was a starter the next 2 seasons in Blacksburg.
Into the end zone and picked off for the 4th time today. Farley stings them again.
In 2019, Farley had a breakout year.
Zone broken up. Caleb Farley proves disruptive for the Hokies.
With 12 passes defended and 4 interceptions.
Intercepted. Caleb Farley.
Farley has shown toughness in the run game.
You're going to run it. DJ Dallas bouncing outside and dragged down at about the 33 by Caleb Farley. First down at 10. Picking the goal to go, brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Caleb Farley, number 3.
But he excels in coverage, whether it's in zone or man-to-man situations.
Into the end zone. Picked off again, this time by Farley.
Durability is an issue with Farley, but he has all the physical and mental tools to be a potential star at the next level. Farley played only 2 seasons at Virginia Tech and 23 career games. In 2019, he was named first-team All-ACC, and in 2020, he opted out of the season due to the COVID pandemic. The extremely talented Caleb Farley should hear his name called in the first round of the draft.
6, touchdown for that Bud Foster defense, and it's Farley.
One of the more physical defensive backs in this year's draft is South Carolina cornerback Jaycee Horn, number 1. The 6'1", 200-pound Horn has the right pedigree to be a productive player in the NFL. His father, Joe Horn, played 12 seasons in the NFL with 3 different teams.
Here's Brooks rolling, stopping, throwing long down the middle for Joe Horn at the goal line. Yes. He goes up and gets it for the touchdown.
X and Y hook, 6. Yeah, I'm all right. Soldier, baby.
Playing mainly with the New Orleans Saints, Horn made 4 Pro Bowls, caught 603 passes for over 8,000 yards and 59 touchdowns.
Hey, let me get it. I got him, Dante. I got 2 AB.
The younger Horn chose to play cornerback and has the ideal size and length to be an outside corner in the NFL.
Nix from the pocket, throws, knocked away by Horn, incomplete. Going again for Williams.
Horn disrupts receivers consistently at the line of scrimmage, excelling in man-to-man coverage. He uses his length well, with 23 career passes defended. Horn could improve his ball skills with just 2 career interceptions. The former Gamecock is a fierce tackler with over 100 career stops. Horn always plays with a chip on his shoulder, bringing an attitude to any NFL defense. Horn played in 30 career games at South Carolina and leaves after his junior year. In 2018, he was named to the SEC All-Freshman team. South Carolina's Jaycee Horn should hear his name called in the first round of the draft.
With a second interception of the game, Jaycee Horn stepping in front of Williams.
One of the more familiar names in this year's draft is Florida State cornerback Asante Samuel Jr., number 26. The son of former NFL cornerback and four-time Pro Bowler Asante Samuel, who was drafted in the 4th round by the New England Patriots in 2003. The younger Samuel looks to follow his father's footsteps.
It is picked off at the 30. Asante Samuel, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Put a bow on it, wrap it up. And we got a smile from Bill Belichick on the sidelines. Oh, baby. Asante Samuel with a pass interception touchdown. And that is going to be all she wrote.
Samuel's father helped the Patriots win 2 Super Bowls, coached by Bill Belichick and quarterbacked by Tom Brady. Built exactly like his old man, the 5'10", 185-pound Samuel Jr. shows good instincts and football awareness as a cover corner.
And Deonte Brown, the intended receiver, well covered by Asante Samuel.
His size could be an issue as an outside corner, but Samuel has plenty of speed and technique to be a starter in the NFL. A team leader during his 3 years in Tallahassee, Samuel flashed good ball skills with 4 career interceptions.
Intercepted. That is Asante Samuel Jr. And he's got a blocker in front, but he's dragged down that time.
This a long pass down the seam, intercepted in the secondary near the 10-yard line. Asante Samuel Jr.
Samuel played 31 career games at Florida State and had 29 career passes defended. In 2020, he was named first-team All-ACC and leaves after his junior year. The cornerback with NFL pedigree, Asante Samuel Jr., should hear his name called in the first 2 rounds of the draft. Maybe the top cornerback in the 2021 NFL Draft is Alabama's Patrick Surtain II, number 2. Surtain's dad was a 3-time Pro Bowl cornerback who played 11 years in the NFL. Patrick Surtain Sr. was drafted in the 2nd round in the 1998 draft by the Miami Dolphins, and Surtain II looks to follow in his father's footsteps.
There's a jump ball for it, and it's picked off. Patrick Surtain.
A perfect combination of size and speed, the 6'2", 202-pound Surtain has all the tools to be a shutdown corner in the NFL. Consistently showing outstanding footwork and technique, Surtain excels in man-to-man coverage. Surtain plays with a high football IQ and can be a physical tackler with over 110 career stops. Like every good corner, Surtain looks to take chances in coverage as he is the most complete corner in the draft. Surtain played in 40 career games at Alabama and leaves after his junior year. In 2020, he was unanimously named first-team All-American and helped the Crimson Tide win the national championship. Alabama's Patrick Surtain II should hear his name called in the first round of the 2021 NFL Draft. Georgia edge defender Azeez Ojulari was an underclassman who played like a 4-year letterman. Ojulari redshirted in 2018, but quickly emerged as one of college football's most menacing edge rushers in just 2 seasons for the Bulldogs.
Flying forward was Azeez Ojulari.
He transformed some of the country's top offensive linemen into free-of-charge turnstiles.
Pressure, we're gonna get him, Azeez Ojulari, have a snack back on the 32.
Admission into the backfield doesn't come cheap, but Ojulari can make it seem that way. Ojulari deploys impressive quickness and body control that help him fly past blockers. In the passing game, he gets home in a flash with a speedy get-off and disarming strong hands.
Next, step right up into pressure and is knocked down. Azeez Ojulari.
After his final season with the Bulldogs, Ojulari was a Bednarik Award semifinalist and second-team All-SEC. He saved his best for last, earning defensive MVP honors in last season's Peach Bowl. Ojulari was also named SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week after putting up 2 sacks against Tennessee. On his first sack, he did it all, forcing and recovering a fumble.
The ball is out and Georgia's got it at the 15-yard line. Ojulari, I think, is the guy that's covered it.
What appeals most is Ojulari's tantalizing upside. He couldn't have shined much brighter in his 2 seasons playing at Georgia, yet many believe there's much more where that came from at the next level. Azeez Ojulari hasn't stopped soaring up draft boards since his bowl performance in January, and he could be the first edge defender taken in the draft. A few years ago, Miami edge defender Jaelan Phillips was uncertain whether he'd ever be able to play football again. After being struck by a car while riding a scooter in 2018, Phillips was forced to retire briefly, but he returned to the field last season and played better than most at his position. The nation's top-rated recruit out of high school, Phillips began his college career at UCLA. After his temporary retirement, he transferred to Miami and was a destructive force, flying off the edge in his lone season with the Hurricanes.
Here's a first down run. Jalen Phillips flying in there.
In 2020, he ranked at or near the top of almost every defensive category among his teammates. He wore the turnover chain after picking off the Seminoles last season.
And dropped all the way back to the 40 is Travis. And the ball's out. A turnover for Florida State. A disastrous play.
Miami's one-season wonder led the team with 15.5 tackles for loss. Phillips finished his college career as a second-team All-America selection. He won back-to-back ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week honors in November and was a Bednarik Award semifinalist in 2020. ACC quarterbacks were disrupted by the addition of Phillips to the conference last season.
Ball comes out. Is it a fumble? Miami falls on the football at the 40.
He had 2.5 sacks in 2 straight weeks against Virginia Tech and Duke. Jalen Phillips appeared to be back to his top-rated level with Miami and projects as a first-rounder. Defensive end Gregory Rousseau is an enticing prospect in this year's draft. A gifted athlete, Rousseau played safety and receiver in high school before settling in at defensive end. He attracted scouts from across the country, but the South Florida native chose to stay close to home and sign with Miami.
Four-man rush is going to take off, and he goes down. Nice play, the tackle right across the line of scrimmage. That's Gregory Rousseau, who's one of their best.
In 2018, in his second game as a freshman, he suffered a season-ending ankle fracture. Any doubts about lingering effects from that injury were quickly put to rest in his sophomore campaign. He had at least 1 sack in 9 of 13 games. He had 3 tackles for loss and 3 sacks against Pitt.
Under some pressure, great tackle brought down by Rousseau, his 6th sack of the season.
Against Florida State, he had 5 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. He finished the season with 19.5 tackles for loss. His 15.5 sacks led the ACC, and nationwide was second only to Ohio State's Chase Young. 2019 was a banner year for Rousseau. He was the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year and earned first-team All-ACC honors. He was named to the All-America Second Team by the Football Writers Association of America. Rousseau has size and speed tailor-made for the position. He uses his length well when fending off blockers or making tackles. His biggest asset is his versatility. He's played defensive end on both sides. He's lined up at 3-technique defensive tackle and a few times over center.
Hornibrook under pressure. The Miami pass rush gets home again. Rousseau.
He's loaded with raw talent, but with such a lack of experience, scouts worry he could be a project at the next level. Gregory Rousseau ranks among the top prospects at his position and will likely be chosen in the first round of this year's draft.
It was Rousseau who did swat the ball away. Man, is he playing a heck of a game.
Tight end Brevin Jordan, number 9 from the University of Miami, is drawing a lot of interest at this year's draft.
From the shotgun heading for the end zone, he fires it in there for a touchdown. He got the tight end Jordan again.
No stranger to attention, Jordan was a 4-star recruit out of high school who was invited to play in the Under Armour All-America game. He signed with Miami, as they have a reputation for developing tight ends. Jimmy Graham, Greg Olsen, and Bubba Franks are some examples of recent Hurricanes who have excelled in the NFL.
And King down the middle, touchdown, Jordan. And man again, strikes in Miami.
Jordan started 12 of 13 games his freshman year in 2018, earning second-team All-ACC honors, and has developed into a bona fide playmaker.
Rolls and throws on first down. And there's his best weapon, the tight end, Brevin Jordan.
As a sophomore, Jordan was All-ACC first team and a finalist for the John Mackey Award, which is given to the best collegiate tight end. In his junior year, 2020, he earned All-ACC second team honors and was a semifinalist for the John Mackey Award.
Slam, and he can catch the football. That's what he does best right there. Make the catch, first down inside the 45.
Few tight end prospects have Jordan's ability as a deep threat. He's an excellent route runner and has elite skills for yards after the catch.
There he is again, and he hurdles a tackle, dives for the pylon.
He's bigger than most safeties, faster than most linebackers, and plays like a big wide receiver. He has strong hands but struggles with catches in traffic. Durability could also hurt his draft stock, as he's missed time with various injuries. He's a willing blocker, but the value he could add to an NFL passing offense is his calling card. A big target who can get first downs and stretch the field, Brevin Jordan is projected to go as high as the second round in this year's draft.
A nice ball fake. Touchdown!
One of the best wide receivers in the 2021 NFL Draft is LSU's Jamarr Chase, number 1. The 6', 210-pound Chase has all the physical tools to be a number 1 receiver in the NFL. Physical at the line of scrimmage, Chase has consistently shown he can beat man-to-man coverage.
LSU averaging 17 yards per play. Add to that, with his touchdown catch from Jamarr Chase, it goes for 25.
A great route runner, Chase always shows excellent footwork and reliable hands.
The run and throwing on the run, he's on target to Jamarr Chase.
Burrow to throw, going up top, looking toward the end zone, passes caught! Jamarr Chase, touchdown!
Chase can also come up with the tough play, making contested catches look routine.
Burrow taking a shot. Chase is out there, and Jamarr Chase goes up. And it looks like somebody just got mossed. It was Jalen Green.
But very effective. Now Burrow going to launch downfield for Chase. Who's got it? Touchdown, LSU.
After being named the 2019 Biletnikoff Award winner as the country's top receiver, Chase opted out of the 2020 season due to the COVID pandemic. Chase played only 2 seasons at LSU. In 2019, he set an SEC record with 20 touchdown catches and was unanimously named first-team All-American. Against Clemson in the national championship game, he caught 9 passes for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns, leading LSU to the title. LSU's Jamarr Chase should hear his name called in the top 10 picks of the 2021 NFL Draft. One of the more polished and experienced receivers in this year's draft is Amari Rodgers of Clemson, number 3. Rodgers played in 55 career games at Clemson. He was named team captain and coached by Dabo Swinney and his staff. At 5'9" and 210 pounds, Rodgers has the skill set to be a slot receiver in the NFL. He consistently shows excellent quickness and the ability to beat man-to-man coverage.
Some time on 3rd and 16 and gets it complete to Rodgers.
Another quick throw. This is Rodgers on the edge again.
Despite his limited height, Rodgers shows toughness and good strength with the ball in his hands.
The pocket, Rodgers made a man miss at the 20 and a first down. After overcoming an ACL tear in 2019, Rodgers hasn't shown he lost any of his blazing speed, hauling in 15 career receiving touchdowns. Rodgers was a main contributor to 4 straight college football playoff berths for Clemson. In 2020, he was named first-team All-ACC and was a semifinalist for the Biletnikoff Award for the country's best wide receiver. When healthy, Amari Rodgers shows great playmaking ability and should hear his name called in the first few rounds of the 2021 NFL Draft. One of the more versatile offensive players in this year's draft is Florida wide receiver Kadarius Toney, number 1.
Toney is wide open. Drilled out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
The 5'11", 189-pound Toney is one of the more dynamic players with the ball in his hands. He has elite explosiveness and makes defenders miss in open space. He is stronger than his size lets on and has shown the ability to score from anywhere on the field.
Nice catch and run and first down.
The versatile Toney can also return kicks.
Toney with an alley. Toney on the move.
As well as run jet sweeps. The former Gator runs smooth routes and despite his smaller frame has shown the willingness to go over the middle. In 2020, Toney established career highs with 70 catches for nearly 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Over the middle, wide open, first down and then some. Toney still on the move, the turbo kicking in. Toney TNT, touchdown Gators!
We've been talking all day that this is one of their best playmakers. Just get him the football, and he'll do the rest.
Toney has played in 38 career games with the Gators. In 2020, he was named first-team All-SEC as the all-purpose player and was one of 5 finalists for the Paul Hornung Award given to the most versatile player in college football. The dynamic and electrifying Kadarius Toney should hear his name called in the first 2 rounds of the draft. One of the more decorated players in the 2021 NFL Draft is Alabama wide receiver Devonta Smith, number 6. The 6'1", 170-pound Smith is maybe the most complete receiver in this year's draft. Smith can run every route on the passing tree, whether it's from the outside or the slot. Showing outstanding athletic ability and body control, Smith consistently flashes big play potential, averaging nearly 17 yards a catch in his 4 years at Alabama. Because of his size and speed, NFL scouts have compared Smith to Hall of Fame wide receiver Marvin Harrison. Despite the smallish body frame, Smith comes down with most contested catches. In 2020, Smith was the best player in college football. He caught 117 passes for over 1,800 yards and an SEC record 23 touchdowns. Smith won the 2020 Heisman Trophy and helped the Crimson Tide win the national championship.
Jones steps up right down the middle of the field. It's touchdown. Devonta Smith cannot be stopped. A truly special performance by the Heisman Trophy winner. 3 touchdowns.
Smith played in 47 career games at Alabama. He finished his career setting school records with 3,965 receiving yards and 46 touchdown catches. In 2020, he won the Maxwell and Walter Camp Awards for the country's best player. Alabama's Devonta Smith will hear his name called in the first 10 picks of the NFL Draft. One of the most all-around explosive players in the 2021 NFL Draft is Alabama's Jaylen Waddle, number 17. Sometimes overshadowed by teammate and future first-round pick Devonta Smith, the 5'10", 182-pound Waddle brings game-breaking speed and outstanding playmaking ability to any offense. He can play as an outside receiver or in the slot. In his 3 years at Alabama, Waddle has consistently shown to be a downfield threat, averaging nearly 19 yards per catch. Underrated as a route runner, Waddle understands leverage on underneath routes, as well as going up top.
Jaylen Waddle. They're anticipating the run, so a great call to throw the deep ball to Jaylen
Waddle. Despite a smaller body type, Waddle shows great effort and hands on contested catches. He also showed great toughness in 2020, overcoming a severe ankle injury against Tennessee in the 6th game of the year to come back and play against Ohio State in the national championship game, helping the Crimson Tide to the title.
Jones steps up and delivers far side. Back to catch the ball is Jaylen Waddle. A big cheer from the Alabama folks on the far side.
Waddle played in 34 career games at Alabama and finished with over 3,000 all-purpose yards and 20 career touchdowns. He was twice named first-team All-SEC and leaves after his junior year. The explosive and exciting Jaylen Waddle should hear his name called in the first round of the NFL Draft. A talented player with a versatile skill set, North Carolina running back Michael Carter is an attractive draft prospect. Though undersized at 5'8" and about 200 pounds, Carter has always been productive. As a high school senior, he ran for over 2,500 yards and 45 touchdowns. As a freshman at North Carolina, Carter led the team with 8 rushing touchdowns. In his junior year, he had his first 1,000-yard season. In 2020, Carter and fellow draft prospect Javonte Williams combined for over 2,300 yards and 28 touchdowns. He ran for a career-high 308 yards in a win over Miami. Carter ranks 4th in UNC history with 3,404 career rushing yards. In 2020, he was voted team captain and an All-ACC first-team running back. Carter is a smooth and energetic runner.
Well blocked, and look at Carter that time, taking Max Richardson for a ride.
He can easily change direction and make single defenders miss. He has a burst that helps him running inside through tight windows and has the speed to break runs outside.
Carter, look at him go. And just like that, Carter turns on the speed down the sideline.
Carter is an excellent receiver, both out of the backfield and running short-range routes. He has lateral quickness that can help him create space from pass defenders. His lack of size hurts his ability to shed tacklers, making him susceptible to stops behind the line of scrimmage. He'll need to work on his ability to play with vision to find rushing lanes. He'll also need to improve his pass blocking skills, a common concern with young running backs. A versatile player who's shown improvement over his career so far, Michael Carter should be a Day 2 pick. Nicknamed Juice, running back Khalil Herbert could be a fruitful pick on draft day. Without the size and speed of other backs, Herbert drew little interest from Power 5 schools. He signed with Kansas in 2016, where he had a good but not great career. He ran for over 1,700 yards and 14 touchdowns in 4 years with the Jayhawks. After graduating from Kansas in 2020 with a degree in business administration, Herbert made a business decision. He moved to Virginia Tech as a graduate transfer with 1 year of football eligibility left. The Hokies used him more, and he had a breakout year. In his best season with Kansas, he ran for 663 yards and 4 touchdowns. In 11 games with Virginia Tech, he rushed for nearly 1,200 yards and 8 scores. Herbert was a third-team All-ACC running back in 2020 and was second-team All-ACC as an all-purpose performer. In 2021, he earned an invite to play in the Reese's Senior Bowl. Herbert is explosive in the open field and maintains his speed on long runs. He's decisive and has good bursts to hit the holes. He also has a strong frame to shake off arm tackles and does well with blocking. Playing in 46 games with 475 carries shows Herbert's durability. Experience on kickoffs, where he averaged nearly 27 yards per return as a Hokie, adds to his draft stock. Scouts point out a lack of breakaway speed. With 34 catches in 5 years, his lack of production as a receiver is also a red flag.
Pressure on the edge. Here's Herbert, has blockers in front of him, utilizes them to pit territory.
Though not as dynamic a playmaker as others at his position, Khalil Herbert is a strong, experienced running back who will likely be chosen in the later rounds of this year's draft. Former Oklahoma and Ohio State running back Trey Sermon could be the answer to an NFL team's prayer. A 4-star recruit out of high school, Sermon drew interest from SEC and Big Ten schools, including Ohio State, but chose Oklahoma. He played in every game as a freshman and rushed for nearly 750 yards and 5 touchdowns. He improved his sophomore season, gaining nearly 950 yards on the ground and scoring 13 times. Sermon's third year proved to be a turning point. His production fell and he suffered a season-ending leg injury. After earning his degree at Oklahoma the following spring, Sermon moved to Ohio State as a graduate transfer, hoping to get more playing time. The move paid off for both the Buckeyes and Sermon. In the Big Ten Championship, he broke Eddie George's single-game rushing record for Ohio State, rolling up 331 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Checks it down to Sermon, who's got space, and a first down, and is still running, hurling men out of bounds inside the Clemson 35. That's his biggest play as a receiver all season.
Facing Clemson in the college football playoff, he ran for 193 yards and a touchdown on 31 carries. He was injured in the national championship game against Alabama, but it was reportedly minor and shouldn't affect his draft stock. Sermon was the Big 12 Offensive Freshman of the Year at Oklahoma and an academic All-Big 12 honoree. He rushed for nearly 3,000 yards combined at OU and Ohio State, scoring 26 touchdowns. Sermon is a big back who plays like it. He has an aggressive style and does well between the tackles.
Here's Trey Sermon, nice cut. And that's 11 or 12 more.
Most notably, in 45 games, he only fumbled twice. Critics will point to his lack of breakaway speed and his limited skills as a receiver. A strong power runner with a good football IQ, look for Trey Sermon to be selected in the later rounds of this year's draft. After a couple quiet seasons at North Carolina, a breakout year in 2020 has shot Tar Heel running back Javonte Williams to the top of many draft boards.
Williams, he's racing, 40-yard line, stiff arm, and he rides his man up to midfield, Javonte Williams.
A 3-star recruit who barely cracked the list of top 100 running backs out of high school, there were modest expectations of Williams when he came to Chapel Hill in 2018. He saw limited action as part of a rotation in his freshman campaign. He played in 13 games as a sophomore, gaining over 1,100 yards from scrimmage and scoring 6 touchdowns.
Carolina will run it with Williams, right side, up that sideline, trying to stay in bounds.
Williams came into his own as a junior in 2020. He rushed for 1,140 yards and gained over 300 yards on 25 catches, scoring 22 total touchdowns. What made his breakout season more impressive was that he had 9 fewer rushes in 2020 than he did in 2019. But he gained 207 more yards and scored 14 more touchdowns. He averaged 7.3 yards per carry and scored a touchdown every 8.2 touches. Williams was named the Tar Heels Offensive MVP in 2020. He was AP All-America second team, AP All-ACC first team, and he set school records in points and touchdowns. Williams is an aggressive runner with a compact frame. Tough to bring down on first contact, he can take hits and extend plays.
Deonte Williams again, breaks free. Inside the 40, stays on his feet, all the way down to about the 25-yard line.
More than a power back, he's explosive with great balance and agility, and can accelerate quickly. He has good vision and receiving skills. Though not as polished as some other backs, Javonte Williams is a well-rounded player who could go as high as the second round in this year's draft. Alabama running back Najee Harris looks to be the rare player who can help an NFL team on day one. Coming out of high school, he was a 5-star prospect and considered by many to be the best player in the country. As a freshman with the Crimson Tide, he averaged 6 yards per carry. By his junior year, Harris had emerged as the feature back for Alabama. Harris is built like Titans running back Derrick Henry, 1 inch shorter and a few pounds lighter, and runs with an aggressive style. What distinguishes Harris is his receiving skills, especially good for a back his size. He can play like a power back running through contact. He can also play like a versatile third down back, catching passes out of the backfield.
In the flat, Najee Harris gets away, down the sideline, up and over, and a first down. Who would have thought that was possible?
Najee Harris has his name all over Alabama's record book. He's their all-time leading rusher. He's their all-time leader in rushing touchdowns and total touchdowns. He ranks 3rd with a career rushing average of 6 yards per carry and 4th with 342 career points. He was a unanimous first-team All-America selection and was part of the SEC Community Service Team. Harris has an elite combination of size, speed, and playmaking ability. Many believe him to be the #1 running back prospect. Look for Alabama's Najee Harris to be taken in the first round of this year's draft. Wherever Clemson running back Travis Etienne winds up being taken in the draft, he'll make his new team instantly better.
He gets it to Etienne and off to the end zone.
Etienne is a naturally gifted athlete. As a senior in high school, he recorded a 4.43 40 time and a 37.5-inch vertical, and he rushed for nearly 2,500 yards and 35 scores.
Etienne showing his power and speed as he turned the corner.
A 4-star prospect out of high school, he earned third-team All-ACC honors as a freshman. He played a key role in Clemson's national championship his sophomore season, rushing for over 1,600 yards and 24 touchdowns.
Here's Etienne, big hole, burst of speed, fights through tackles.
He's developed into a strong receiver. In his junior and senior years combined, Etienne caught 81 passes for 956 yards.
Etienne, and look at him go for more.
Uyunglele, plenty of time to pick an option. And he goes downfield to Etienne. Dangerous every which way.
Choosing to remain at Clemson for his senior season, the extra time honing his skills seems to have paid off. He set a new NCAA record with 46 games with at least one touchdown. In all 4 years, Etienne had at least 100 touches and double-digit touchdowns. Etienne earned All-America First-Team honors 3 times. He's the ACC career record holder in rushing yards, total TDs, and points. He's one of only 12 players in FBS history with 4,000 yards rushing and 1,000 yards receiving. He's won 4 ACC titles and a national championship, and his Clemson senior class was 27-0 at home.
Etienne bouncing through tackles, keeps his feet, Travis scores.
Etienne has elite speed and acceleration. He's a threat for a big play every time he gets the ball. He's nimble enough to avoid tacklers and fast enough to outrun them.
Etienne hurdles a man into the secondary, slams another defender to the ground.
He's got good balance and a strong frame to shake off tacklers and stay on his feet. There are few weaknesses in Etienne's game. He could improve vision and patience, waiting for holes to open up. He may need to add muscle to his upper body to better compete at the next level. Travis Etienne has great overall athleticism. He could be the first running back taken and go as high as the first round in this year's draft.
He's still running all the way to the end zone. Travis Etienne.
In a crowded field of draft prospects, Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields stands out. He was the #1 overall recruit out of high school in 2018 when he signed with Georgia. After backing up Jake Fromm his freshman year, Fields transferred from the Bulldogs to the Buckeyes. Perhaps making up for lost time, Fields blew up as the Ohio State starter in his sophomore season. He threw for nearly 3,300 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, which was the best ratio in the country. He also rushed for nearly 500 yards and 10 scores.
Can he escape? Yes. And he'll slide down with that brace.
Fields capped off the year leading Ohio State to a Big Ten championship, and he came in 3rd in Heisman voting. He started 2020 with over 900 yards passing, 11 TDs, and 0 picks in his first 3 games, though he struggled down the stretch. He suffered a hip pointer in the CFB playoff game against Clemson. His performance was off, but he showed the toughness he'll need at the next level. Fields is the first quarterback in Big Ten history with 40 passing touchdowns and 10 rushing touchdowns in the same season. He earned Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year honors in back-to-back seasons. Critics contend he holds the ball too long and struggles to make good decisions when under pressure. No one can doubt his athletic ability and his strong arm.
Down the middle of the field, Olave wide open. The Buckeyes are threatening in the red zone again.
Justin Fields is projected as a first-round selection and could go in the top 10 in this year's draft. For an NFL team with a strong roster but needing to improve at quarterback, Alabama's Mac Jones could be the guy. Jones became the starter for the Crimson Tide in 2019 when Tua Tagovailoa was injured. In 2020, the redshirt junior proved doubters he belonged, throwing for over 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. He also showed he could perform in big games against top-tier talent, leading the Crimson Tide to SEC and national championships. Jones plays with good pocket awareness and can elude the rush to keep plays alive. He can throw accurately with confidence when he gets into a rhythm. However, he lacks the arm strength of other quarterbacks in this year's draft. He received high marks at the 2021 Senior Bowl. Though an injury kept him out of the game, coaches were impressed with a good week of practice, showing his accuracy, decisiveness, and consistency. Jones was a consensus first-team All-America selection. He was named to the All-SEC first team by the AP and conference coaches and was the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year.
Down by 7.
While he was the 17th ranked quarterback in the 2017 recruiting class,
Through the middle, another beautiful, accurate throw.
Jones is now regarded as one of the top 5 QBs in the 2021 draft.
Jones down the middle and completes it.
He benefited from Alabama's strong offensive line and supporting cast. Scouts question how much of his success was from that or from his own natural ability. Mac Jones is likely a day 2 pick, but don't be surprised if he goes late in the first round. It's been 11 years since a Florida quarterback was taken in the NFL draft. Kyle Trask will likely end that streak. Unlike many top-flight college quarterbacks, Trask never started in high school and was not highly recruited. Florida was the only Power 5 school that gave him a chance. Their risk proved to be very rewarding. Earning the full-time starting job in his redshirt junior season, he threw for over 2,900 yards and 25 touchdowns. As a senior in 2020, he erupted, throwing for nearly 4,300 yards. His 43 touchdown passes was tops in all of college football and was a school record. Besides the mark for touchdown passes in a season, Trask set Florida records with 5 400-yard passing games and an average of 354 passing yards per game. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist and was selected to the All-America second team. A pair of concerns hurt Trask's draft stock. One is his lack of arm strength. He excels at short and mid-range throws, but lacks the big arm to get the ball downfield consistently and accurately. He also lacks mobility. With no threat to run, he's limited in his ability to improvise. However, he's played under center, in shotgun, and in pistol, which would give an NFL offensive coordinator more flexibility. Trask is a big, durable player who didn't miss a single snap with injury over the last 2 seasons. He has good football intelligence and makes good decisions. Kyle Trask is projected to go in the second round, but could go as high as late in the first round of this year's draft. Sometimes, highly touted players don't live up to the hype. That was not the case with Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence. A consensus 5-star recruit out of high school, Lawrence had one of the best seasons by a true freshman in college football history. He threw for 3,280 yards, 30 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. He led Clemson to an undefeated season. He led the Tigers to victory over Alabama in the national championship game, becoming the first true freshman QB to lead his team to a national title since 1985. In 3 years with the Tigers, Lawrence threw for 10,098 yards, 90 touchdowns, and 17 picks. He also ran for 943 yards and 18 scores. He was the first quarterback to win 3 ACC championship games. His record as Clemson's starter was 34-2, setting a school record for winning percentage. He never lost a regular season game in college or in high school. In 2020, Lawrence was the ACC Player of the Year while setting a school record with an average of 315 passing yards per game. He was also an All-ACC academic team selection. Lawrence is a smart player and athletic for his size with good arm strength. He's able to improvise and keep his focus downfield while eluding rushers. He's calm under pressure and shows good leadership. Lawrence recently had surgery on his non-throwing shoulder. His rehab is reportedly going well, and there's no reason to think it's hurt his draft stock. Trevor Lawrence has all the hallmarks of a franchise quarterback and will likely be the first overall selection in this year's draft. As draft prospects go, Texas A&M quarterback Kellen Mond is a kind of Rorschach test. Some could focus on his success with the Aggies.
Kellen Mond looks right, goes over the middle, touchdown Aggies.
How nice was that?
While others may question his potential to excel at the next level. In 2017, he was ranked as the number 2 quarterback recruit in the country behind Tua Tagovailoa. He started 8 games as a freshman then solidified his role as the starter as a sophomore. He threw for 3,100 yards and 24 touchdowns that year, including 7 touchdown passes in a 7-overtime win over LSU. His junior year was a disappointment, as Texas A&M finished unranked, but Mond came back strong in his senior season. With over 2,000 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions, he led the Aggies to an 8-1 regular season record. In 34 starts, Mond rewrote the Texas A&M record book. He set marks in practically every major category, including passing yards and touchdowns, pass attempts and completions, and total offense. Athletic for his size, Mond is a good runner who can break tackles. He's shifty in the pocket, able to improvise. He's also willing to stay in the pocket and take a hit if needed.
Throws to the corner, man's there, and he's got it. Touchdown, and it's Aniyah Smith. Kellen Mond hangs in and gets the touchdown pass of 14 yards.
He has good arm strength, though scouts say he needs to improve throwing mechanics at the next level. The biggest concerns with Mond are consistency and accuracy. He's streaky and sometimes fails to go through all his reads. Mond is an attractive prospect with a big upside if he can improve his game. Not projected to be a starter right away, Kellen Mond is likely a day 2 pick. A construction management major at BYU, quarterback Zach Wilson could be a good foundation for an NFL team to build on.
Wilson keeps it, has a window, and shimmies in for the score.
Wilson was highly recruited out of high school, where he threw for over 5,800 yards and 45 touchdowns and rushed for over 1,300 yards. A 3-star prospect and first-team All-State in Utah, he became the youngest starting quarterback ever at BYU.
Steps up to the right and goes deep down the far side. It is Daxmill, makes the catch at the 3-yard line and steps into the end zone with another BYU touchdown.
Wilson did well as a freshman. Playing in 9 games, he threw 12 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. He had a sophomore slump with 11 touchdowns and 9 picks. 2020 was a breakout year for Wilson, with 33 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions.
Pocket, now shuffling to his right and goes end zone and going low to haul it in. It is caught at the goal line and in the end zone for 6.
Wilson has good mobility and is equally comfortable inside and outside the pocket. Blessed with good arm strength, he can make any kind of throw. He's a smart player who can go through his progressions and make good decisions. As a freshman, Wilson led BYU to a win in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, going a perfect 18 for 18 for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns. As a junior, his completion rate was 74%, a 12-point improvement from the year before.
Who has time? Looking for Romney. Romney makes the catch.
Critics say he sometimes scrambles too soon and needs to work on mechanics to improve accuracy for deep outside routes.
Zach Wilson, leaping tacklers.
Some scouts worry his success as a junior could be a one-year wonder. Wilson had shoulder surgery after his freshman year to correct an issue from an injury suffered in high school. He also had surgery on his throwing hand as a sophomore. None of that had any impact on his junior year in 2020. Zach Wilson is projected as a first-round pick and could go in the top 10 in this year's draft.
A spin, a dive, and a score by Zach Wilson. In from 14 yards, and that was something.
Prior to joining Alabama as a graduate transfer in 2019, Landon Dickerskon had never played a snap at center.
Touchdown, Alabama.
He finished his college career as the nation's top center and anchored the offensive line for the best team in college football. Notorious for his physicality and brute force up the middle, Dickerskon flattened opponents and bolstered the Power 5's #1 scoring offense and #2 total offense in 2020.
Another good run.
In perhaps his best performance last season, he showcased his rare power blocking skill set and versatility as a strong run and pass blocker against Missouri. Without allowing a single sack or hurry, Dickerson helped the Crimson Tide tally 38 points and 414 total yards. Dickerson paved the way to the end zone for Najee Harris, who scored 3 touchdowns and ran for 98 yards against the Tigers.
Touchdown, Alabama.
Dickerson won the 2020 Remington Trophy and was an Outland Trophy finalist. Won his first championship with the Crimson Tide in 2020 and was voted a unanimous first-team All-American. Dickerson showed no shortage of toughness or dedication, handling snaps in victory formation at the College Football Championship, despite suffering what was thought to be a season-ending torn knee ligaments injury weeks before in the SEC Championship.
Ryan Robinson again with another good run.
Likely a first-rounder, Landon Dickerson has a history of coming back strong after injury and is poised for another strong comeback season as the top center on many evaluators' draft boards. Tennessee guard Trey Smith served up more pancakes in college than a 24-hour diner. With an incredibly strong upper body and mauling instincts, Smith stops bull rushers in their tracks. A freshman All-American and every game starter in 2017, Smith missed time in 2018 due to recurrent blood clots in his lungs. After Tennessee medical staff developed a plan to prevent the clots from recurring, Smith returned in 2019 and performed at an all-conference level as a junior and senior.
And Jarrett's going to run for it, and he's going to get it, and then some.
Smith was named second-team All-America in 2020, first-team All-SEC the past 2 seasons, and was a leader in his community, receiving the Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year Award and inaugural Fritz Pollard Award. One of the mightiest guards in the 2021 draft class, Smith is known to not just slow down his opponent, but to finish him before picking on someone else in the second level. He has a tendency to keep his head on a swivel to seek out and pummel as many defenders as possible before the whistle blows. Tennessee's best player for the past 3 seasons, he played 664 snaps and allowed just 1 sack in 2020. Against Vanderbilt, Smith's presence up front helped the Vols put up a season-high 540 total yards. The #1 recruit coming out of high school in 2017, Trey Smith is garnering similar hype as he now focuses on preparing for the NFL Draft. The top pro prospect out of Rocky Top is projected as a late first or early second-day pick. Ranked as the 171st offensive tackle prospect coming out of high school, Virginia Tech tackle Christian Darrisaw now prepares for the NFL Draft with much more acclaim. In 2016, Virginia Tech offered Darrisaw his only Division I opportunity, which he capitalized on, starting as a freshman and developing into one of the nation's best offensive linemen. The Hokies' starting left tackle for the past 3 seasons, Darrisaw's hulking frame and quick jump off the snap help him stuff defenders and control the line of scrimmage. With an appealing combination of physicality and motor, Darrisaw has a skill set that translates well to the NFL. He is known to make crater-sized holes that make for wide-open running lanes. He also has enough quickness and strength to get to the second level and overpower his secondary blocking assignment. After a standout season in 2020, Darrisaw was named first-team All-ACC and second-team All-America. He earned ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week honors after his performance against Duke. The talented Hokie turned the key and opened the door wide open for his rushers to rack up 324 yards on the ground against the Blue Devils last season. Though his run protection is what impresses the most, Darrisaw stands up strong against the pass rush, allowing just 6 quarterback hurries and no sacks in his final college campaign. His reach and quick hands help him gain the advantage on defenders and keep them contained. Darrisaw traps defenders at the point of contact and refuses to give up ground. He's relentless and doesn't stop blocking until the whistle. After just 3 years playing in college, Christian Darrisaw is ready for the next level and projects as an early round selection. Alabama guard Deonte Brown finds himself among the top offensive line prospects entering the draft after establishing a reputation as one of the top pulling guards in college football. A fixture along the line for 3 seasons, Brown's elite pass protection and run blocking helped the Crimson Tide cap off the 2020 season as the nation's top scoring offense and college football playoff champions.
Handoff, Najee, left side, finds a hole, takes it in, touchdown, Alabama!
One of the most relentless and mobile first-level blockers entering the draft. He specialized in creating gaping holes that allowed his running backs to average 5 yards per carry and total 78 runs of 10 or more yards in his final season with Alabama. Brown was a big reason why no team had more rushing touchdowns than Alabama last season, rumbling through the end zone 37 times on the ground.
Touchdown, Alabama.
At 350 pounds, Brown is one of the biggest prospects entering the draft. He was voted first-team All-SEC as a senior, helped the Crimson Tide win 2 college football playoff championships, and was a 3-year starter. Against Ole Miss, Brown helped stuff the Rebels' defense and allowed the Tide to put up 743 total yards, second most in school history. Alabama rushed for 306 yards, and Brown did not allow a sack or pressure. Brown was as consistent and reliable as interior protectors come, missing just 2 assignments on 843 snaps his final season. His quarterback, Mac Jones, finished the season as a Heisman Trophy finalist, and running back Najee Harris received the Doak Walker Award. The complete package as a blocker, Deonte Brown is projected as an early round selection and should be one of the first interior offensive linemen to hear his name called at the draft. The latest model off the line from Alabama's elite blindside blocker factory is tackle Alex Leatherwood. Already projected by many as a first-rounder as a junior, Leatherwood opted to return for his senior season and finished out college as the prestigious Outland Trophy winner with an improved draft stock.
Jones steps up, going deep again, man out there again, it's Mechie, and he is gone again. Touchdown, Alabama.
Considered the nation's best offensive lineman last season, Leatherwood was a leader on the Power Five's top offensive line and helped Alabama become the #1 scoring offense and #2 passing offense. As a freshman, Leatherwood saw some of his first college action in the 2018 College Football Playoff Championship, when he replaced injured starting left tackle Jonah Williams. In his sophomore season, Leatherwood won the right guard job and showcased his versatility, starting all 15 games and earning second-team All-SEC honors.
Najee Harris inside the 10, the 5, the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
A unanimous first-team All-American in 2020. Leatherwood bookended his college career with college football playoff championship victories as a freshman and senior. A team captain, Leatherwood was the first player to hoist the championship trophy alongside Nick Saban after the win over the Buckeyes. A starter in his last 41 games, Leatherwood played left tackle for the past 2 seasons and made first-team All-SEC in each of those campaigns.
Now he turns on the speed.
Leatherwood defended the blind side of Heisman finalist Mac Jones last season, who was kept clean regularly thanks to his left tackle's 99.7 blocking grade on assignments. The 6'6", 312-pounder has ideal dimensions to adapt quickly to the pro game, and his vast experience against big-time competition in the interior and exterior bodes well for his versatility in the NFL. For the past 2 years, an Alabama tackle has been drafted in the first round. This year looks to be no different, as Alex Leatherwood is projected as a first-rounder by many evaluators. Oklahoma State tackle Tevin Jenkins pancakes with such force he could be mistaken as a drill bit driving defenders to the earth's core. In his first 2 seasons of significant action at Oklahoma State, Jenkins played guard and both tackle positions. After establishing himself as an every-game starting tackle in 2018, the following season, Jenkins graded the road ahead of his 2,000-yard running back, Chuba Hubbard. A starter in every game last season before opting out in November to prep for the draft, Jenkins ended his college career with first-team All-Big 12 honors.
This offensive line, finally a hole for the running game, and L.D. Brown almost took it all the way.
A superior and aggressive blocker with a big appetite for pancakes, he locks rushers up with his heavy, huge hands and swallows them quickly. He doesn't attempt to just neutralize his opponent, he aims to finish him. Oklahoma State's Barry Sanders Award winner for most contribution with least recognition in 2018, Jenkins flipped that narrative the next season as the recipient of the Thurman Thomas Award given to the team's most outstanding offensive player. With a powerful upper body, Jenkins moves defenders at will to set up open running lanes. Jenkins developed a high IQ for identifying and picking up blitzes in his 5 years at Oklahoma State. One of the most versatile tackle prospects entering the draft, Jenkins can easily shift from one side to the other and play where he's needed most. With a stock that's been rising after each season he's put on tape, Tevin Jenkins finished his Oklahoma State career graded by many draft experts as a potential first-round pick. Every starting left tackle who has played for head coach Brian Kelly at Notre Dame has heard his name called in the first round of the NFL Draft. Left tackle Liam Eichenberg has the talent and resume to keep the Fighting Irish's streak alive this year.
They score in this red zone possession.
Footwork and fundamentals were the formula for success for Eichenberg in college. What sets him apart is his violent and powerful hand usage. When he gets a grasp on defenders, Eichenberg usually tangles them up and gains the upper hand quickly. Getting past Eichenberg is a rarity. In 2018, his first year as a starter, he did not allow a sack in his final 8 games, including the Cotton Bowl against Clemson. Eichenberg wrapped up his college career with that impressive streak intact, not allowing a sack since Week 5 of the 2018 season. A balanced and patient blocker, especially against the pass rush, anything he lacks in athleticism, he makes up for with his fundamental technique and handwork. Eichenberg was a consensus first-team All-American and an Outland Trophy finalist in 2020. He was also named first-team All-ACC last season. In 2020 against North Carolina, Eichenberg did one of his best brick wall impressions of the season and earned co-ACC Offensive Lineman of the Week honors. He tossed the Tar Heels around and drove them into the turf, holding the line for the Irish to gain 199 yards on the ground and nearly 300 through the air. Notre Dame made 2 college football playoff semifinal appearances with Eichenberg protecting the left edge. As low risk as they come out of college with a sky-high ceiling, Liam Eichenberg is a prototypical exterior blocker who has the potential to start instantly and flourish in the NFL. Expect to see him picked early in the draft. How good is Oregon tackle Penei Sewell? After playing just 2 seasons in college and opting out of the entire 2020 season to prepare for the draft, he's still the #1 offensive line prospect on nearly every draft board. Some even go as far to say Sewell is the best player overall in this year's draft class. A day 1 starter at Oregon, Sewell was named to the Freshman All-America team despite missing 6 games due to injury. After a sophomore season for the ages, Sewell found himself in the Heisman race and had more than just Ducks fans campaigning on his behalf. A rarity for his position, sports columnist Bruce Feldman cast his second-place Heisman vote for Sewell, who allowed just 1 sack during his college career.
4 or 5, and just throw again. Throws it underneath to Brian Addison.
The Rock of Trenchtown during his days in college, Sewell is an immovable object who forces his defender into submission in a split second.
Stays on his feet into Spartan territory.
Credit the offensive line. Look at the movement they get.
Even the most polished college defenders thought twice after facing him.
Again, facing one of the top run defenses in the country. Against corner blitz here, it's picked up, and so Herbert able to take off.
Sewell won nearly every major award for linemen in 2019, taking home the Outland and Morris trophies. He was also a unanimous All-American and helped the Ducks win the Rose Bowl. A star at Oregon, Sewell received nearly as much hype and praise as his quarterback, NFL Rookie of the Year Justin Herbert.
He's got all day to scan the field, wait for a man to come loose.
Although he sat out last season, he still haunted those who had the unfortunate task of lining up against him.
Hammering inside, dives inside the 5.
And there's no doubt he was not forgotten. Oregon tackle Penei Sewell has been slated as a top 5 pick for more than a year and is considered by some experts as the best tackle prospect in a decade.